Let's talk about women not feeling safe in the world. Even if we can create an emotionally safe space as women, as men, you really have to understand how unsafe it is just to be in the world as a woman, right? And this is why it is important to support men on their healing journey and support men emotionally healing, right? Because when men heal, then men become safe people, and then they become safe people for women to be around. And there are really good men in the world who respect women and treat them well, right? But you also have to understand that women in daily experience, we have to live in constant, a state of protection or like awareness of men in our surroundings. So you also have to recognize why, women can be so guarded. And you really have to consider how you're approaching women in the world. Because the honest truth, the majority of men are not safe people to be around. And a lot of men have no idea how uncomfortable they make women feel, how unsafe their presence makes them feel. This is not your personality or your physical appearance. This is your energy. This is the frequency that you're showing up in. And that takes doing your own healing work, right? Because if you're safe and secure in who you are, then you make women feel safe and secure. You make the people around you feel safe and secure. It's a completely different energy. It's not about performing or trying to be something for women. If you're emotionally healed, then you're an emotionally safe place for women. And then you're able to recognize them in their own experience rather than just seeing them as this extension of your reality. This is also, how you create healthy relationships. If you're unhealed and insecure and you're even dating someone, right? And you are holding her hand, and then you're walking down the street and looking at every other woman that's walking by you. And by the way, she sees that, right? You know that, right? Right? You know that, right? And then, you call her insecure and jealous, right? And then these are the types of dynamics that you create in your life. A woman who knows her worth is not going to put up with your BS. She doesn't have time or energy for that. She's not going to put up with being disrespected. So you're dating someone who's going to put up with that because they're unhealed, right? They haven't claimed their value yet, so they're dating someone who is treating them poorly, right? Until they recognize that they want more than that. So if you're living from a place of insecurity, or acting from a place of wounding, right? That's going to reflect in your environment and the kind of women that show up in your life and the kind of dynamics that you're going to create. The beautiful thing about, dealing with your emotions is that because that's what I know it feels like when you process your emotions, right? When you actually sit with them and do the healing work, free yourself from those sort of dynamics, right? You free yourself from those emotional experiences, and then you're no longer living from a place where you feel insecure about yourself or your reality or who you are in the world, right? And then you attract women that resonate with that energy. and then things happen for you, and you know, things align because you're in a safe energy, and so the world wants to work with you. If you're in an unsafe energy, you know, the world is working against you, or so your story goes, right? And you know, guys, you really got to look at your mommy issues, right? You know, if that's really the healing. You know, are you punishing women for your past? You got to look at that, right? When you heal that and recognize you don't have to repeat these patterns, right? You can heal that and you can choose a different path. One that's healing for you, one that's healing for women, and then we can make a safe world